in fact, good evening, all. I was discussing with our club advisor John and President Pavitran and Srinivasu for some time on having a topic or a speaker session on, especially with the focus on how the specially abled citizens and Rotarians especially are successful and have achieved what even many of the normal people may not have been able to achieve. And then he suggested that possibly we should have a speaker session or a panel discussion. So that was the trigger. So the main purpose of this session, as the topic for the meeting suggests, mainstreaming disability, and the purpose is to break a lot of myths around the specially able persons. So I think we will allow the panelists to do the talking. They are living examples of what a person can be in their career, professionally, personally. And I think the session will help us to understand and appreciate the capabilities and break the myth around the disability. Over to the moderator of the session, Rotarian Srinivasu.
Thank you, President Srinivasu. And welcome everybody again for this wonderful panel discussion. My name is Srinivasu Chakravartula. I have been with Rotary for a couple of years, not too long. This is something which gives me a lot of satisfaction. One for the fellowship and to network with people, and also to do some of the community support service alongside. By profession, I am an accessibility professional. I am celebrating my 20th year of accessibility journey this year. I have been, I'm currently the director of accessibility for a company called Freshworks, which is a SaaS company. I co-founded accessibility practices for several companies like Yahoo, PayPal, Informatica, Watermark, and so on. Accessibility happens to be both my profession and passion. And I've been also into disabilities sector for about 25 years. I'm a person with low vision. But I came into the disability sector a little later, though I've been having this low vision since birth for circumstances reason, which I believe is a good for good. I came into the disability sector much later in my life. I am also on the governing council of the National Association for the Blind. So in this today's panel discussion, the flow will be initially we'll be having a round of introductions of the panelists, and then we'll actually have a set of questions for each of them, which I'll be asking them as a moderator. And then we will actually open up the floor for questions to actually get the questions from all of you, because all of you will be having a lot of questions around disability, right? Including the terminologies to be used and kind of thing. So you can feel free to ask any kind of questions. You can feel unshy to ask any questions here. This is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you all to ask questions. So with that, let me turn around the mic to our first panelist, Kameshwari Kumar, who is also secretary for Rotary Bangalore Abilities, to give her brief introduction.
Thank you so much, Rotarian Srinivasu, and a very warm welcome to everybody, and a very happy new year as well. My name is Kameshwari, and I've been part of the Rotary journey for the last 3 years. I'm the current secretary and the president-elect of Rotary Bangalore Abilities, which falls under the District 3191. Professionally, I work with Google as an accessibility analyst. And my personal hobbies are, when I'm at leisure, I would like to engage myself, spend my time on gardening. I also do crocheting and listening to a lot of audiobooks. So that's my brief introduction. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now I would request my second panelist, Raghavendra Sathish Peri, to give a brief introduction.
Hey everyone, my name is Raghavendra Sathish Peri. Everyone calls me Raghava, and a very happy new year to everyone. I'm not a Rotarian. Maybe I should be one of you soon. Uh, I'm blind myself, being low vision use for a very long time. I've been blind for the last 10 years now. And as a profession, I am an accessibility professional myself. And previous to that, I worked in mainframes, IBM mainframes. I did a lot of digital marketing. I still do. And I run my own consulting. I'm an entrepreneur. I run my own consulting firm called Digital Alley. It's digitalally.com. And from my hobbies, I do a lot of writing. I'm a writer. I'm a blogger. And I listen to a lot of audiobooks. And I run communities, like blogger communities, food communities, and other things across the city that I'm part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghava, for taking out time and coming here instead, in spite of going through the personal issues with your kidney and other things. Thank you so much for joining us.
Always pleasure, Srini.
Yeah, okay. So let's get started with the actual topic of mainstreaming disability and breaking the myths. So my first question to you, Kameshwari. You've been into corporate for a very long time, both in IBM and then Google. So what is the kind of, you can include both serious offenses or the funny incidents that you could call it, right? You can share some of the experiences in corporate world that actually makes you feel laugh and sometimes make even feel seriously offended.
Thank you, Srini. I started my professional career in the year 2007 with IBM as a contractor first, and then was made a permanent employee a year later. And my career started with ITIL service management and project management as well. Later on, after a gap of 6 years, which is to say, after working as a change manager for 6 years, I moved into the field of accessibility, which is my current field of work. I also worked with Wipro for a duration of 3 years. And just before the pandemic, I joined Google. That's the in the year 2020, and I've been working with Google since then. So some of the incidents which come to my mind when I think about my, the career for about 15 years is the way I felt throughout the career, throughout the duration. So when I joined, for example, I was completely a fresher and I had no idea of how to approach people then. But then I was so overwhelmed by the way the team accepted me into their fold, and there were other freshers as well along with me, so I never felt left out because they were equally ignorant about the ways of corporate life, and they would definitely call me out for a coffee or for a walk for lunch together. So I never felt left out as such. But again, in some of the other instances where I had to work with a few senior executives, I had to ensure that I make the first move rather than waiting for the people to come and call me for meetings or for team lunches or team outings. I had to make the first move. That was something which I thought should change definitely. Apart from that, some of the other instances which I remember, one of the funny ones is I do carry a cane everywhere. So the white cane. The white cane is a long stick. Just for the people who have no idea about what it is. It is a long stick which is held by a person who is blind to walk around, and this stick helps us to identify obstacles on the way. So I have carried my cane everywhere, though there is a little stigma attached to it for some people who do not like carrying it because they say it shows out your disability to the people. But then I feel it's a very important thing to do, and I was definitely benefited by it because more than saving myself, it used to save the other people as well. Because um, there have been instances where people are so engrossed in conversations on their mobile that they do not see what's or who's walking in front of them. So they just get when we walk with this cane, I have hit so many people while walking with it, and then that's when they realize that they were going to bump into a real person, but they've been saved just because of the just by due to the hit with the cane. So and similarly, I've also experienced situations when I went and asked for a laptop. This is one of the instances which comes to my mind. So I had to work from home because of some personal commitments, and I did reach out to my manager for a laptop. But the answer which was given to me for rejecting or for refusing to give me a laptop was, how will you carry a laptop? A laptop is, a heavy thing. So how will you balance yourself, or, how will you carry a laptop by holding the cane also in your hand? So that is something which was not funny at that moment, because I had to answer it and I had to prove it that I had two hands and I had the capacity of carrying a laptop as well, along with safely balancing myself. But then when I think over it, it's one of the funny instances I can remember. I
Fabulous.
think that's
Yeah,
one of.
fabulous. Yeah. I hope you're not intentionally hitting the people with your cane.
Not intentionally, because sometimes I do realize that in the middle of the
Yeah.
hall or a big lobby, there's somebody standing, and though we are walking and we're going to hit them, but they still don't move. So I think it's a light
So
touch.
all of Rotarians,
Not
please be
exactly.
mindful when you actually see Kameshwari in any of the meetings, okay? Raghava, coming to you, I know you before even your accessibility life. You've been quite passionate about digital marketing, and especially you're quite good at networking in the community and doing a lot of things for community, and especially in the marketing space and so on. Um, Tell us a little more about your journey and how, um, is there anything that you actually come across that is that needs to be changed from the attitude perspective of the society?
Yeah, so what in 2006, I was in my final year of my bachelor's, and I went to a lot of campus placements, and I got rejected because I'm low vision back then, and because I disclosed that I'm low vision in the final round, they said, we'll get back to you, and it did not sit well with me, and I was not very happy of how things were turning around with job. So was hanging out with some of my friends, and there's this one of my friend who's very busy, studying about how to build a website, how to buy a domain name, how to host it. I said, why? He said, with websites you can make money. You have something called Google Ads. I came home, I fired up my terminal, I started looking for how to do it. Then I used to hang out with him a lot back then, and I learned how to build a website, and I, you know, uh, host it and all that. Then I said, how do I make money now? Because back then my only goal is like, if you job is all about making money. You work to make money. If I can sit at home and do this, I think I'm building something for myself. That is the thing that I have in my mind. So I've learned a lot about that, SEO, social media. Social media is not even existing back then. It's 2008 when Twitter took off. Social media really, Twitter and Facebook, that is when social media really came into existence. Then search optimization, then, email marketing. I learned everything about the marketing aspect of digital, this thing. And I started building websites, selling them. We and another guy partnered. We used to build websites and sell them, for small businesses. Then primarily made it as our business. Then my low vision took a hit because I was not able to see. And what I realized is none of these platforms that I use for marketing are not accessible also either. They're not, even if you use a screen reader, they're not accessible. Then I had to take a job, a full-time job at IBM, where initially I worked in the change management as a change manager like Kameshwari. Then I moved into accessibility from there. And I never looked back because accessibility gave me that power to change the digital landscape now. Because if something is not accessible, I know why it is not accessible or technically. And then now, even after 18 years, now I still practice. So, like, I own a couple of blogs and websites that I run, which get about 500,000 visitors uh, a year for one of my website. And what happened is, like, a few years back, about 4 or 5 years back, when I was diagnosed with a chronic health issue. Uh, I spun a website on accessibility and then I started working on it. And whatever I learned in that 2006 to 2010 or 11 of digital marketing, I took all that learnings and I put it in. And I realized the fundamentals don't change. Maybe there are a few things that changed. And platforms also have become more accessible, that I have realized. I'm able to access these platforms now more easily or get data into Excel sheets through APIs and all that. So one, the platforms have become accessible. Second is, you also become more smarter because you figure an alternative way to get the same data or, do the same task in a different way. So I'm much more smarter than what I was back then. So that's how the whole career journey has started and, uh, took off. So
Yeah. Coming back to you, Kameshwari, since you have been quite active on social sector, like you even take part in several events of Rotary, including the district, and also you, as a club, you guys take off a lot of projects and all of that, right? Two things I would like to hear from you is one, um, what are the kind of myths you want to break from the society that you come across in the social gatherings? And how does technology empower you to be part of all of this?
Yeah, sure, Srini. So, to answer your first question, myths related to disability, there are a few things which come to my mind. The first being that people with disabilities are different. So, for example, I have a I am blind, and Raghava also suffers from vision impairment. But then our requirements might differ. But the myth here is people with disabilities, say of a certain category, are all the same. So all people who are blind have have the same requirements. That's one of the myths which exists. So this needs to be really busted, because I might use a technology in a different way than another person who suffers from or who has vision impairment. They might use the same technology or a different technology to do a similar job. Apart from this, another thing which comes to my mind, and I have frequently experienced this, that people feel that we, people with disabilities, possess extra senses, extra sensory characteristics, or extra sensory abilities For example, people come to me and ask me, what color of dress am I wearing? Can you guess, what am I wearing? Or, they outrightly come and say that I think people with disability possess sixth sense or seventh sense or such things. But I would like to say that all of us do have five senses, and I think most of us also have this sixth sense or the instinct, not a sixth sense, but we can call it an instinct, which everybody of us has. And since we do not see, or we cannot see rather, we have to fall back on the other available senses. It's not that the other available senses are more developed in our case than the other people, but because sighted people use their sight most of the times to get the available info, they may not use their other senses as much as we do. So that's a clarification which or understanding which everybody should have. Another thing which I've also seen in events or whenever I go shopping with my husband is that most of these questions which are posed by the salespeople are targeted towards my husband. So in case they want to ask something about my choices, they would point at my husband or talk to my husband and say, will she like to have this product, or will she like to have another product in this place? So thankfully, my husband understands, and he gives them an answer saying, "I think she can speak for herself. So it's always better to question her. I will not know what her choice would be." But this is another myth. What I have seen is people with disabilities may not be able to answer questions or may not be able to make choices, better choices rather. Another thing which comes to my mind is again, I've faced this problem many times. Sometimes people asking questions to me, they either raise their voice, or they're so soft spoken that I can't even hear their questions. So sometimes we'll have to go ahead and tell them that I have blindness, I cannot see, but then I'm pretty well able to hear the questions. So it's a myth, it's a misconception which people have, that people who are blind or disabled, they have to be spoken very softly to, and they cannot be spoken in a normal way, the way people speak with non-disabled people. So this is another myth we should bust. And the last thing which comes to my mind right now is, I call it a guess who game. So when we meet people in events, large events where there's a lot of music going on and a lot of people around, in such cases, there have been instances where people walk up to us and try to ask, "Can you guess who am I?" Okay, so sometimes it's really difficult because if we don't meet frequently enough, it's difficult to remember the names of people, and because of the noise and the crowd as well, it's really difficult to identify people who are very well known to us as well. So that's when I just tell them, or I would prefer people walking up to us and saying their names and introducing them. uh, it's okay if we do recognize them and tell them that we know who you are, but then it's always better to give your names and mention that this is who I am, and nice to meet you. So I think these are few things which actually come to my mind right now.
Sure. Do you want to cover about how technology empowers you right now, or want to take a little break and let me move on to Raghava and ask the same question?
Okay, I think I can cover up the technology
Yeah,
part
go
as well.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as Raghava already mentioned about screen readers, so people with vision impairment use softwares which are called screen readers. So by the name itself, it is understood that these are softwares which help in reading whatever appears on the screen in the layman terms. So now, thankfully, these softwares are mostly inbuilt into the operating systems itself. So, say if you're working with a laptop or a mobile, so I would suggest after this call, if you could open up your mobiles, whether iOS or Android, and if you could go to settings and check accessibility, under that, if it's iOS, you'll see something called voiceover, and in Android, you'll see something called TalkBack. So these are two different screen readers specific to these platforms. Apart from these, there are other screen readers also available, similarly on a desktop or laptop as well, for Windows, Mac, and other operating systems. So these are softwares which help us earn our bread and living, to say the truth. Apart from these, there are apps which help us to go about our daily living skills. So, for example, I have used Be My Eyes very often. So, just for an example, we have so many WhatsApp groups, and the invites and a lot of other stuff is shared in the form of photographs or images. So text will be in on these images. So to understand what these images contain, or what is the text content of these images, I have used Be My Eyes, which is an app which has an AI built into it, and it extracts the text from these images, also adds a few more descriptive uh, points to it, and then delivers it to us to understand the content. So apart from this, I have also used Be My Eyes in my kitchen. So sometimes I have so many packages which are there, and there's nobody around at home to ask which package is this, and I don't want to accidentally use something else while cooking. So I have used Be My Eyes to just point it at the package, and it reads out the label of these packages. There are many such apps, Vision AI, Seeing AI, and so many other apps which have made our lives easier. Apart from that, I also like traveling on my own. So most of these Rotary events, which I have to attend as a secretary or a president elect, I do use the Uber app or the other apps which everybody else uses, because these apps are pretty accessible, and we can easily use them with our screen readers, except a few glitches, which thankfully we are able to get back to the product owners and get them fixed. We're able to use these apps independently.
All right. Thanks. And Raghava, to you as you have been also very, very active and social. And like I said, you have been pretty busy in networking, and you also go to a lot of restaurants and network with people. And you actually take initiative towards that. But to host something like that, social meetups and all that, it takes a lot of effort and energy, right? So with the disability that you have, what are the kind of myths that you want to break among the community that has. And also the terminology part, because for a while, like Kameshwari said, people will think that if you are blind, you also probably have to talk so too soft or too loud, right? And people also now started thinking about that divine abilities, differently abled, special. People think that they have special abilities and all that. I'd also like you to touch upon that terminology part as well.
So some of the myths that I come across is, everyone thinks all disabilities are visible. By looking at me, everyone thinks I'm faking my visual disability, first of all. The way I make eye contact and then I can move. So over the years, as someone who's been a sighted, low vision person, and I have a lot of sighted friends. You are one of them. So what happens is when someone moves their head, like I know that they moved their head, and I can. And what happened is in a lot of situations, everyone thought that I'm a sighted person. I'm just holding a white cane of someone else's. They never realize that I'm blind, and that is one. And a lot of people even think, that you have one disability doesn't mean that you have another requirement or another disability. Like just in my case, I have other chronic health challenges that came just few years back, and there will be times that I use a wheelchair. So whenever I go to hospital, so everyone thinks, why does a blind person need a wheelchair? You know, and because I came across someone who's like, oh, he can walk, he's blind, he's not motor impaired. So that is one more thing. You never knew that people with one disability can have multiple other issues or other disabilities that are hidden, not visible again. That is one. So these are some of the myths. I think already Kameshwari covered a lot of things. And when I host a lot of these social meetups and it takes a lot of energy, as you said. And what happens is here again, technology comes into, like, I use everything on mobile a lot. I use, as Kameshwari said, screen readers. So what I do is I use WhatsApp, email, Slack, uh, all of these social apps like LinkedIn and all on my mobile, and it becomes easy to coordinate. One, because even when you're on transit, uh, it's easy to get in touch with someone and all that. So that is how technology helps me to host these events. And I wouldn't say I'm always, independent. I need help. I do need help sometimes, and there will be things that you need help, and I reach out and I ask for help. It's not that, oh, I'm 100% very independent. One incident, I'll take it from today. I was in hospital, and there's this flu vaccine that is supposed to be given to me, and there's an antibacterial vaccine. And when I told the technician, okay, so for people who are not here, so I'm on dialysis right now. I went through a kidney failure, and I was getting my dialysis done, and I said, the technician, I have this vaccine. He looked at the entire discharge summary of, like, last month, and he said, I don't see the vaccine. I said, but it is there. There are these 2 injections I'm supposed to take. And what I realized is, I can use AI, I can use my mobile and, find it out, which medication name and all that. But what I realized is it's simple, get someone who is experienced in this medical thing to read it and tell this person, whoever I'm dealing with, in like 5 minutes, which sorted out. Because there will be situations where, you'll not be able to handle the mental stress of these things. It's disability, everyone thinks is just physical, but it takes a lot of toll on the mental this thing. And it sometimes, in my case, like, when you have chronic health challenge like a kidney failure, it is a mind game. It's not a physical thing that you are dealing with. It's more of a mental a ball game that you're playing with yourself. Like you play chess on both sides on your own. So you can't win, you can't lose. You have to keep playing the game. So disability, sometimes it's more of mind game than a physical this thing. So that is how you deal with it.
Fabulous. Do you want to comment on the terminologies that are used in the society?
Yeah, different people use different things, and I think I prefer the word disability And if someone says, it's a divine ability or special ability, special need, uh, see, one thing I learned in my experience is, you can't change the world. You can you can give awareness, you can give a bit of knowledge, but you have to leave it to the people's wisdom on how they want to adapt things.
So true. So true. And for everybody's benefit, United Nations uses the word persons with disabilities, which is absolutely acceptable. You don't have to feel shy about it. And in fact, people don't have any different abilities than other humans, or special abilities, or divine kind of powers and all that. So that's another myth. And coming to the thing about a wheelchair, in his case it might be needed at sometimes, but also the funny situations that we come across, especially in the airports when we ask for assistance, they in some airports they even insist you to take the wheelchair, especially in the international travel. People insist you to take the wheelchair irrespective of you need it or not, right? So that is another myth around it. Right. Yeah. Coming back to you, Kameshwari, I think we are close to around 8:05. So I think 8:10 is what we will open up for Q&A. Kameshwari, I got to know, and I know as well, since I know your husband also quite well. He tells us his secret of gaining a lot of weight is wonderful, awesome food that you make. So how do you deal with the kitchen? And he also tells me he doesn't have to spend a lot of time in cleaning it up later. So you also maintain it up really well. So what are some of the things that you actually take care? What are the measures you take care? And how do you make that delicious food?
Yeah, so I would like to quote the words of one of my close friends, a fellow Rotarian as well. She's Priya Sheshadri from our own club, who says a person who is gifted with a stomach and a mouth should learn cooking. So, irrespective of gender or whoever they are, at least the basic cooking skills everybody should learn. And I'm really thankful to my parents, especially my mother, who never stopped me from exploring. I have had a few cuts here and there. So she started my exposure to cooking very early in childhood. And I have had a few cuts, as I mentioned, but that did not stop her or me from exploring how cooking should be done. Of course, on a wider scale, I started cooking regularly after I got married. So we had no choice, of course, but uh, there are few things which I definitely take care of. So one thing is I keep things organized. So whenever I get new things home, I make sure I pack them, I unpack them and put them in the containers which I have specifically for those things. So they are placed in an organized way. So say the pulses are all placed in one place, and I can definitely touch and identify which what sort of pulse or grains they are. So that comes by experience, and that's one thing.
Sorry to
And
interrupt, Kameshwari. It may or may not happen in your case, but a general thing is that, especially when parents come home and they prefer to cook, okay, and they actually have a tendency to replace things, and keep they don't tend to keep in the same place that where they're supposed to be. So in such a situation, how do you deal with it when they go
yeah,
back?
those things definitely tend to happen. When my mother-in-law comes home, I leave the kitchen to her, of course, take a break from cooking. I just help her with the other stuff. But then when she's leaving, and thankfully, because she's aware of it, or it's the way we tell them as well. So when she's leaving, she will try to put back the things in their regular places. or it just takes a few couple of minutes for us to just go back and check if things are all in their places. But to tell you the truth, I don't fuss about it so much, because there are a few ingredients which we need to use at a time, so it doesn't make a lot of difference or a lot of time. You can just use your senses, touch, smell, everything, and just find out what ingredient you are actually adding. So things are inevitable. Family comes home, they will definitely use the kitchen. You cannot stop them from changing the places of the ingredients. I have never used labels on the containers, but I've heard a lot of my friends, they have used braille labels on these containers, especially when there are similar containers, 5 or 6 containers which feel the same. So in such cases, there might be a little confusion. So they make use of braille containers, and they also have used a tool called pen labeler. So it's a label which you stick to the device, which you stick to the container, and there is a pen sort of thing which you hold in your hand, and which records the label of the content of the label. So when you hover the pen over the label of the container, it reads out the label. So you can understand the container contains salt or sugar or whatever based on the audio output which is given. So such things are definitely available. And I used to have problem with milk boiling, over boiling of milk and spilling and some such things. So there is something called a liquid indicator. That's a small device which you can attach to the container, the top of the container, and at a certain level. So it starts beeping once the liquid reaches a certain level, or it starts with slow beeps first, and then it becomes quite fast. So in such cases, you can understand that now it's time to stop the stove, or if you're pouring into glasses where this liquid container is attached, you can stop pouring when you hear the beeps. So such devices are definitely available, but I use my hands, and thankfully over the years, a little bit of heat has not my hands can take that much. So while turning rotis or pouring milk into glasses, I just feel keep my hand just on the glass, the outer part of the glass, and I can easily identify when the milk reaches a certain level. So things like that have definitely helped.
Yeah.
And of course, I've taken help whenever required. When I keep listening, and it's the same reason why I don't take phone calls when I'm cooking, because I need to concentrate properly. I need to hear. So when I put onions to cook, I can easily identify when they are properly fried or cooked. So that can easily be understood. Uh, so yeah, I think that's how
Oh
it's
my God,
been.
she is
And
now tempting us to go for the next fellowship to her house.
and
All
I would
right.
like to also mention here that it is a myth that people with blindness cannot cook. But I would like to mention that there is a international level competition of people with
Master Chef.
vision impairment. Yeah, Master Chef.
Mm.
Also, there is something called Golden Eye Chef, which has been
Ah,
started by Antardrashti. That's
Antardrashti,
an
yes.
organization which has conducted this annually. I think it's the third time they have done this time.
And
So
I think
they,
there is also a lady called Payal Kapoor who does a podcast on cooking,
yeah, that's
right?
called
Yeah.
Rasoi Ke Rahasya. And
Mm.
she herself was a hotel management graduate. So she did a complete series or a podcast on Rasoi Ke Rahasya. And it talks about baking, cooking, and so many other stuff. There's a WhatsApp group which has people with blindness across India who discuss about their cooking challenges. They discuss recipes on how they could, use their skills.
Fantastic. So, Raghava, these days, no event can conclude without talking about AI. So, how does AI playing a role in the disability sector today, and what do you think in the coming years?
So AI is like, it's evolving from where ChatGPT came about 2, 3 years back. And we're using it every day. We're just not knowing it. Like, we use Alexa, we use Google, Apple Pods and all that. Uh, right now, it is becoming more mainstream. Like, yesterday, I have to practice for any interview. And the interesting thing is, you can practice it with AI. You don't need another person. You can go to, the chat GPT, click on, talk to me, and then say, I'm going to attend an X interview, or, I'm going to talk to my HR, or I'm going to talk to my boss about my appraisal. Help me prepare for it. And you give the prompt to it, and it will start behaving you like it's your boss.
Wow, quite
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's like talk back. You're as if you're talking to a real. And very interesting, I was amazed how this technology is changing. Like we already know how Be My AI explains all the pictures to us blind people, and it's more comprehensive than what a sighted person can have told us. So similarly, it's going to change the landscape of how people with disabilities are going to use it. And we just have to wait and see. And other thing is how much of as humans, how much of it we are going to allow it into our lives, intrude in our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for such a wonderful discussion. Just any closing thoughts from both of you? Kameshwari?
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to say, so think of people with disabilities as humans first. Disability comes next. So that's not their identity as such, but we're all humans, and people with disabilities definitely would like to network, to be, to feel belonged to, and to be part of conversations, to be part of coffees and teas and gatherings and everything. So
So
I have
we
experienced
are
this.
available for all parties,
Sure. And this
right?
is commonly seen when we are part of events. We would definitely love to walk and talk to people, but because we are sometimes not able to identify others, and also because of the crowd, it's a little difficult. So I would always expect, though I would definitely make the move, but I also expect a lot of people just move, just come out and talk to us, talk to people with disabilities, do not have any inhibitions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
From you, Raghava?
I think Kameshwari covered it. We are humans, we're social animals first. So treat us like like how you treat your friends and others. That's more than enough.
Super. So let me open up questions. I believe there are some comments or something on the chat. Let's take a look at them first. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's open up for questions. Anyone has?
Yeah, I'm coming in, John. This is John here. Uh, Hi, Arun, and hi, Chandana, good friends of mine. Uh,
Hey, John.
Before John starts speaking, there won't be any Rotarian in this country, if not the world, who doesn't know John Daniel.
hey, not like that. Okay, Raghav, for you, is for the new generation, is the Braille slowly fading out?
Depends on how you learn. I did not learn Braille because my disability is identified very late, after I was 14 years old. By then, I was 80% blind. So initially, everyone thought I'm making up my blindness. for a very long time at home, at school, everywhere. So these are some of the things that, early intervention was not there. So I never learned Braille. But there are a lot of schools that teach Braille. Braille is, I say, Braille is good and must because you learn spellings. While you learning from audio books and all is good, you don't learn spellings from that. Like while
Yeah,
there
for
are
the
some,
young age,
for
Braille is important.
yes,
But over the period when you come to higher classes and college, using the technology helps because the Braille books are bulky in nature. But at the young age, to learn spellings and all, it's quite important.
it is must.
I would also like to add here. So, I did my graduation, or I used Braille till my graduation, and only after that, I was exposed to technology. But I still use Braille even now because in places where I need to, you know, act as a master of ceremony or any such things or give speeches, I would definitely love to write down my points in Braille and so that nothing is missed out.
Yeah.
So it's still valid and very
Relevant.
complementary to technology. Yes.
Yeah, this thought was there always in me, so slowly Braille is fading out. The other thing is the stress management. How do you all manage that?
I listen to a lot of books. I write. Writing is a therapy for me personally. I write a lot. Then I'm a foodie, so you'll find me in all the new cafes, restaurants, anywhere. You tell food, I'm there. uh,
Irrespective of dialysis, huh?
Yes,
uh,
Kameshwari,
I, I have a question. I have a
you got
question.
only one life, Srini, to live.
Yeah, I'm Naveen Karyappa here. I have a small question
Yes,
Yes,
Naveen.
please.
to John. John, how do you manage stress?
I laugh it out.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm always smiling, and if I get up in the morning and I have my hands and legs are kicking, that day is my festival. So I celebrate
Good.
everything.
Hey, Yvonne is a stress buster.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
we know that.
Don't we know?
So
Yes.
for me, we don't celebrate Christmas or Easter or anything. Every day is a festival.
Every day is a celebration. Yes. Good.
All right, next.
We have a car rally where the driver is a normal person with vision, and the navigator is a person who will give the route.
Mhm.
Have you all attended any such rallies? Have you participated?
Yes.
Kameshwari did.
I'm
Yes.
sure
So
it
While she is also a normal person, huh? Not abnormal one.
is.
yeah, so I participated in the car rally, which happened the 1st and the 10th, which happened in Bangalore. And I think I also participated in the one which happened as part of Purple Fest.
Yeah, in
The
Goa.
first,
Oh,
yeah, the first instance of Purple Fest in Goa.
awesome.
Yeah, I play car rally with my driver every day.
Only difference is people used to use the Braille navigate map for the in the real car rallies. Here we use Google Maps.
Yeah, but he still can't figure out. That is the thing.
I had a brief question, which is, do we have a set of resources that list or whatever website list, etc., of basically people, tools, institutions where people with disabilities can get help, particularly
So two,
in this case with low vision?
yeah, two things. One is, of course, there is something like un.org/disabilities and also the Department of Empowerment of People with Disabilities in India. But best bet would be to ask ChatGPT or Google.
Srinivasu, sorry, I forgot to also mention that Arun Acharya, our charter secretary, is the secretary of Spastic Society of Karnataka. He's
Oh, fabulous. I know that organization for a long time.
and
That is why your name is familiar to me. When you
And
said your
Arun,
name.
by the way, Srinivasu is associated with National Association for the Blind, as you mentioned in the intro.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So I think I definitely look forward to speaking with you,
Yeah,
more.
but I can also send you some resources, sir. If you can reach out to me, I
Yeah.
can send you some resources.
Thank you.
Just one quick question from my side to
Yes, sir.
the panel as well, moderator. Like, how do you see the technology, either AI or any technology from the early detection point of view, so that, we can prevent this disability? And the other part is like, what do you expect from the technology? Okay, I'm sure I heard a lot of good use cases or case studies, how technology is, enabling disabled people. But anything else see there is an opportunity or, to enhance the quality of life of disabled people with the latest technologies you can think of, but it is still not in the market, in the, maybe at least in use. Could you throw some light, any one of you?
Who wants to go first?
So I can partially answer the second question, which talks about how the technology part of it. And though we have such wonderful use cases, and what can still be done. So I would like to talk about we've already been talking about accessibility, right? So we have been fighting so long. So every new app which comes out, except for some of the companies who are aware of accessibility and the needs of people with disabilities. But one thing I've always been saying is whenever a product is being designed, be it in the digital space or the physical space as well. So, in both cases, whenever a new product comes into place or a new building is constructed, the owner or the person concerned should definitely be aware of the needs of the users or the persons with disabilities. And I would like to see a day when we don't have to go ahead and talk about these things, that these things have the ramps need to be taken care, or the railings have to be taken care. So I would like to see a day when these become part of the mainstream, part of the product design itself from the start, so that we don't.
Not just in the tech parks and malls, but even in the residential complexes.
Anywhere. So I
Yeah.
would like to mention here that our president, Arun Mohan, he had recently written an article which was published in the Times of India as well. So he was going through this place in Indranagar, and which is a very posh area as well. So he could not see even a single shop which was without steps. Some of them had 3 steps, 4 steps, or 5 steps, or even more. So people who cannot, who are on wheelchairs, they definitely cannot access these shopping areas. So I would like to see a development in such cases. In most of the cases, we have to spread awareness. It's developing, but still lots have to be done.
I think all the breweries in Indiranagar thought wheelchair users don't take alcohol.
Correct. Yeah. So are we not eligible for shopping? So that's something which comes to our mind, and so I think we need to make a lot of development in such spaces.
Raghava, you want to add
The
anything?
reason all these quick commerce startups are unicorns nowadays. 10-minute delivery. They bring the shops to the
Doorstep.
person's convenience. You don't need to visit the shop.
Yeah, but the problem
Possibly that's
is,
an opportunity they are tapping, but shops have to be sensitive enough
yes,
to
Most of
think of.
us would definitely love to visit the place and see the product, touch the product, or experience it and then buy. So
Correct.
online is definitely
Online is good, but I'm all old school. I prefer to still go to supermarket,
yes.
and buy things.
In fact, hi, this is Arun here. Uh, if I can just probably share 2, 3 points that.
Sure, please go ahead. Could you, Arun, could you please introduce yourself a little more? We just know that you're president of Rotary, but other than that.
Yes, my name is Arun. I am the president of Rotary Bangalore Abilities. I am also the vice president for MSSI, that's Multiple Sclerosis Society of India. And I'm a person with multiple sclerosis. And that's when I wrote that article because, as per the law, or as per, the Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India talked about it. There's a law which says that, all buildings are supposed to be accessible for person with disability, but nobody follows that. So this.
We lost you. Could someone still hear Arun?
No, if we have lost him.
We lost him, I think. Maybe he will join. Yeah. While he joins us, is there any
I
other
would
questions?
like to,
Yes.
I would like to ask
Your name,
that
please.
what I'm Archana Singh,
Yes.
right? All right. So I would like to ask, as we believe that young minds, the children are future of any country, for that matter. So don't you think that, children without the normal children, or we can say the able children, or what, they need to be more sensitized about this particular, people with disability, because they will understand it better, as well as they will be our future. So, that will bring down the barrier between the able and differently able. So any kind of activities or awareness program do you all do to to lower the barrier between these two categories?
Okay, we as a profession, we don't do that, but as a side note, we generally we participate about the awareness campaigns or address children in the schools and all of that. But there are a lot of not-for-profit organizations who actually take up that and does it. Kameshwari, do you want to add something?
Yeah, in fact, I have been part of integrated education, which is taken up by a lot of organizations like National Association for the Blind. So, what they do is they teach the children, people with blindness especially, they teach them braille and other skills, and then they also put them into the
Mainstream school.
schools, the mainstream schools where other children study. So that's when you have to make sure that you are in contact with the mainstream and the children also learn. And I'm also aware about an organization called Vividha
In Bangalore.
yeah, in Bangalore, and they also work with children with disabilities, and they conduct summer camps, which includes children without disabilities as well. So that's when they can bond with each other and they understand the challenges of each other. And see that which is why sending children with disability to special schools completely is something not
Recommended, yeah.
yeah, not recommended. So it should be a mix of both. So because I felt when we go to specialized schools, we also learn certain daily living skills uh, which we can specifically learn with by looking at or by sitting with people who have similar challenges. But at the same time, we need to be in the mainstream because ultimately we have to work with the we have to come into the mainstream someday or the other. So, which is why it's better we start from the start. I think thank you,
All right.
Archana ma'am, for bringing this out because
Thank you so
this is
much.
another myth
Yeah,
that we should
yeah,
talk
go ahead.
about disabilities to children. because I've seen that myself when children come and ask me, Auntie, why do you have your eyes like this? Has something happened? Many times I've seen parents shushing them off. They
Yes.
telling them not
I think the
to.
awareness should be with more with parents
Exactly.
before even it goes
Yes.
to children here. Because parents are like, they are not willing to, you know, let children interact with even people with disabilities.
True.
Hey, I'm so sorry, my line got disconnected.
Go ahead, Arun.
I'm so sorry about that.
No
Okay,
worries.
I have, the reason why when you were talking about, myths that, what people with disability go through. When I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I hope people here know about it. It's an autoimmune disorder, which affects your central nervous system, where your myelin sheath is eaten by your central nervous system. So what happens is you don't know what happens tomorrow. One of the biggest myths that I actually faced is when I was diagnosed. I'd gone to this passport office at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the watchman told my mother-in-law, saying, "Please don't ask your son to come inside." So my mother-in-law said, "Why not?" So she said, the watchman said that because he's drunk. So it's like, my mother-in-law said, "It's 7 in the morning." So he said, "No, last night he had so much that he's not able to talk properly or walk properly." And the worst thing was that I got reprimanded from my office so many times, saying that, "Why are you drinking so much that it's affecting the way you work?" So, probably after I was diagnosed, and one of the first symptoms that I was told that you have gait issues. So when I went back to them and said, "Listen, boss, I was not drunk that time also. Now also I'm not drunk. I'm just telling you that I have gait issues." So
Oh my
we,
God.
we were going around like this, and then when I went to the doctor, one of the doctors told me, "You know what? Why don't you start using a walking stick?" So when I was diagnosed, I was like 40. So I told them, at the age of 40, why do you want me to carry a walking stick? So he said, "Listen, boss, if you don't carry a walking stick to help you, at least you can make the outsiders know that you have a problem." Because if you do something which is not acceptable in the society, they will thulp you down to death because they don't know what you're going through.
I believe it is an invisible disability, right?
Yes, yes.
Ah,
So,
fabulous.
like, what Kameshwari said, when I was going through this Indira Nagar 100 feet road, I couldn't find one shop. I actually wrote in the article saying that, is it that the person with disability do not deserve to buy clothes, which is bought out by this high brand people? Or it's that, we're too small a market that, you know, uh, they don't, they're not bothered about it to make the changes.
So
You
true.
will
Thank you
not
so much.
believe, you will not believe when I wrote this, the highest appreciation that I got were from the older generation. So they're like,
Fabulous.
nobody thinks about us also. Those people who are above 80, 70, they don't even think about them. Disability,
Fabulous.
okay, we understand, but then, nobody understand the older generation also.
Thanks, Arun, for sharing. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank you
much.
so much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
In the interest of time, is there any one last question from anyone?
Rajal, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, John. I think what I was thinking, the blind disability will, with AI as a technology, they can walk just like a human. That is will happen within 3-4 years, where whenever they are walking, the technology will tell him, you are seeing this road is there, left, everything is there. So that is what I feel things will change.
Sir, with the conditions of our roads, AI will also get mad.
That is definitely different. But because we are trying to do some technology and implementation where AI is able to understand the image very well, even if it is a
No, that
similar
exists even
images,
now.
so
That
things
exists
are
even now, but it all depends on the circumstances.
perfectly, you are correct.
Sajal, but I believe the mixed reality headsets, they are already having the use cases for persons with partial or full blindness. There are, I believe, there are, if not yet in India, but at least US, the market. I heard so, but possibly you guys know better.
Right. Raghav, Kameshwari, do you want to answer this?
There
I
might
know
be
Meta AI glasses will, it is yet to
there
come.
might be
AI is yet to come.
existing,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I don't want one more technology gadget on my head roaming around on the road like an alien. I'm happy with my white cane. It takes me to the right place. Less less chance of me getting into trouble then.
Yeah, are better with a companion.
Yes.
Yeah,
One
we have
last point.
observed these AI devices also, tried out a few of them, but then they have their own pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons and
Yeah, so
challenges with it.
One
Very true.
last
very
point.
noisy or crowded. In such cases, if something goes wrong with the device, then it's a real challenge. You'll get stuck.
So, for example, there is something called smart cane, which actually vibrate when it detects something. So we were walking on a market, and it was just vibrating all the time because
It
there are
doesn't
people
work in
around.
India.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in India.
Also, if we depend so much on technologies completely, we'll also lose the idea of asking people for help. That
Not only that,
happens a
you
lot.
lose your ability to think and act.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Because
that's what I was saying. The technologies actually spoiled us. We don't even remember a few phone numbers. We
correct.
don't
yeah.
know how to multiply.
So yeah, before I took my talking iPhone and Kameshwari, me and Kameshwari, we both could remember 200, 300 phone numbers on the fly.
That's right.
Now we don't remember so many.
Yeah. So are we getting into trouble by doing so if suddenly the phone goes off and you can't even remember your spouse's number and
John, let me put you in trouble. Do you remember Ivan's phone number?
okay, and where Arun, I would like to read your article. It's absolutely fantastic. I think Srini, you should escalate this article
So you
and
please share, Srinivasu, kindly share the article. So maybe I have missed the article in Times of India, though I get my Times of India
Yeah,
possibly.
maybe Kameshwari or Arun can actually
Sure.
send it
I
to
will
us.
do that.
yeah.
I will do
Yes,
that.
please. Yes, please.
And Archana's
Yes.
question, I mean, this thing was perfectly fine. In fact, we are going to disability. Yeah, I always talk about a co-education system. We should
Right.
have a boys' school or a girls' school or
True,
anything.
true.
Things don't work. You don't respect the girls. The reason is because of this girls' school and
Yes, I totally
Correct.
agree. I totally agree.
we would have loved
Okay.
to live with the women.
All right. So with this, may I request Archana to give us a closing remarks?
Yeah, sure. It was an inspiring as well as quite motivational session today. And I take pride actually to say vote of thanks on behalf of Rotary Bangalore Kalyan. I would like to thank Rotarian Kameshwari and Raghavendra to come on the panel, and it was an eye opener. We need to, as I already said, that we need to be sensitized for all these things also. So our society actually require a lot about it. And I would like to thank Mr. Rotarian Srinivasa for conducting all the online sessions like these. And then without audience, the success of any session will not be complete. So I would like to say my thanks to all the audience coming here, joining us for this session and making it wonderful as well as learning experience. Thank you so much.
And thanks to both Rotary Club of Zionhills and Rotary
Yes.
Club of Bangalore Abilities for partnering on this.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Thanks to
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
panelists.
Good
so
night,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to all of you.
President Pavitran, you can adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, meeting adjourned. Yep.